Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a timeless classic that has been hailed as one of the most accessible and insightful books on economics ever written, Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. This book is not just for economists or finance geeks. It's for anyone who wants to understand how the economy works, why policies succeed or fail, and how to think critically about economic issues. Henry Hazlitt, a brilliant economist and journalist, breaks down complex economic concepts into simple, easy-to-understand lessons. Whether you're a student, a business owner, or just someone who wants to make sense of the world, this book is a must-read. So, grab a notebook, sit back, and let's explore the key ideas, lessons, and takeaways from this incredible book. Overview of the book. Economics in One Lesson is based on a single, powerful idea. The art of economics consists in looking not merely at the immediate but at the longer effects of any act or policy. It consists in tracing the consequences of that policy not merely for one group, but for all groups. Hazlitt argues that most economic fallacies stem from focusing only on the short-term or visible effects of a policy while ignoring the long-term or unseen consequences. The book is structured around this central lesson, with each chapter applying it to different economic issues, such as taxes, tariffs, price controls, and government spending. Through clear, concise explanations and real-world examples, Hazlitt provides a comprehensive guide to understanding economics and avoiding common pitfalls. Key themes and lessons. Let's break down the core lessons and themes from Economics in One Lesson. These are the ideas that have made this book a must-read for anyone interested in economics. 1. The One Lesson. Look beyond the immediate. The central theme of the book is Hazlitt's One Lesson. To understand the full impact of any economic policy, you must look at its long-term effects on all groups, not just the short-term effects on a select few. Example. Hazlitt uses the parable of the broken window to illustrate this lesson. A boy breaks a shopkeeper's window, and onlookers argue that the broken window is actually good for the economy because it creates work for the glazier. However, Hazlitt points out that while the glazier benefits, the shopkeeper now has less money to spend on other things, which hurts other businesses. The net effect is a loss, not a gain. The takeaway: always consider the long-term and unseen consequences of any economic policy. Don't just focus on the immediate or visible effects. 2. The broken window fallacy. Hazlitt introduces the broken window fallacy, which is the mistaken belief that destruction and disaster can stimulate the economy by creating jobs and demand. He argues that this fallacy ignores the opportunity cost of resources that could have been used more productively. Example. Hazlitt explains that while natural disasters or wars may create jobs and reconstruction, they also destroy wealth and resources that could have been used to create new goods and services. The economy is not better off, it's worse off. The lesson: destruction is not a path to prosperity. True economic growth comes from creating wealth, not destroying it. 3. The seen and the unseen. Hazlitt emphasizes the importance of considering both the seen and unseen effects of economic policies. The seen effects are the immediate, visible consequences, while the unseen effects are the long-term, indirect consequences that are often overlooked. Example. When the government spends money on a public project, the seen effect is the jobs and infrastructure created. The unseen effect is the private sector projects that could have been funded with the same money but weren't. The takeaway: always look beyond the obvious. Consider the hidden costs and opportunity costs of any economic policy. 4. The role of savings and investment. Hazlitt argues that savings and investment are the foundation of economic growth. He explains that when individuals save money, it provides capital for businesses to invest in new projects, which creates jobs and drives innovation. Example. Hazlitt contrasts two scenarios: one where people save and invest their money, and another where they spend it on immediate consumption. In the first scenario, the economy grows as businesses expand and create new opportunities. In the second scenario, there is no lasting economic benefit. The lesson: savings and investment are essential for long-term economic growth. Policies that discourage saving, such as high taxes on interest income, can harm the economy. 5. The dangers of price controls. Hazlitt warns against the dangers of price controls, such as price ceilings and price floors. He argues that these controls distort markets, create shortages or surpluses, and lead to inefficiencies. Example: Hazlitt discusses rent control, which is intended to make housing more affordable. However, he points out that rent control often leads to a shortage of rental housing, as landlords have less incentive to maintain or build new properties. The result is that fewer people can find housing, and the quality of available housing declines. The takeaway: price controls may have good intentions, but they often lead to unintended consequences that harm the very people they are meant to help. 6. The fallacy of government spending. Hazlitt critiques the idea that government spending can stimulate the economy. He argues that government spending simply redirects resources from the private sector to the public sector, often less efficiently. Example: Hazlitt explains that when the government spends money on a public project, it must first take that money from taxpayers or borrow it. This reduces the amount of money available for private investment, which could have been more productive. The lesson: government spending is not a free lunch. It comes at the expense of private sector activity and can lead to inefficiencies. 7. The impact of taxes. Hazlitt discusses the impact of taxes on the economy, arguing that high taxes discourage work, saving, and investment. He also points out that taxes often have unintended consequences, such as encouraging tax evasion or shifting economic activity to less productive areas. Example: Hazlitt explains that high corporate taxes can discourage businesses from investing in new projects or hiring workers. This can lead to slower economic growth and fewer job opportunities. The takeaway: taxes have real economic costs. Policymakers should consider the impact of taxes on incentives and economic behavior. 8. The role of tariffs and trade. Hazlitt critiques protectionist policies, such as tariffs and trade barriers, which are intended to protect domestic industries. He argues that these policies harm consumers by raising prices and reducing competition, and they ultimately hurt the economy as a whole. Example: Hazlitt explains that tariffs on imported goods may protect domestic producers, but they also raise prices for consumers and reduce the efficiency of the economy. The result is a net loss for society. The lesson: free trade benefits the economy by allowing countries to specialize in what they do best and by providing consumers with more choices at lower prices. 9. The fallacy of job creation. Hazlitt challenges the idea that job creation is always a good thing. He argues that jobs are a means to an end, producing goods and services, not an end in themselves. Policies that create jobs at the expense of productivity are ultimately harmful. Example: Hazlitt discusses the idea of make-work projects, where jobs are created simply for the sake of creating jobs. He points out that these projects often waste resources and do not contribute to real economic growth. The takeaway: focus on creating value, not just jobs. Real economic growth comes from increasing productivity, not from creating unnecessary work. 10. The importance of sound money. Hazlitt emphasizes the importance of sound money that maintains its value over time. He warns against inflationary policies, which erode the value of money and harm savers and fixed-income earners. Example: Hazlitt explains that inflation is essentially a hidden tax on savings. When the government prints more money, it reduces the purchasing power of existing money, which harms those who have saved for the future. The lesson: sound money is essential for a healthy economy. Inflationary policies may provide short-term benefits, but they have long-term costs. Actionable takeaways. Now that we've covered the key lessons, let's talk about how you can apply these principles in your own life. Here are some actionable steps inspired by Economics in One Lesson. 1. Think long-term. When evaluating economic policies or decisions, consider the long-term effects on all groups, not just the short-term benefits for a select few. 2. Avoid the broken window fallacy. Recognize that destruction and disaster are not paths to prosperity. Focus on creating wealth, not destroying it. 3. Consider the unseen. Always look beyond the obvious. Consider the hidden costs and opportunity costs of any economic policy or decision. 4. Save and invest. Prioritize saving and investment as the foundation of economic growth. Avoid policies or behaviors that discourage saving. 5. Beware of price controls. Understand that price controls often lead to unintended consequences, such as shortages or surpluses. Support policies that allow markets to function freely. 6. Question government spending. Recognize that government spending is not a free lunch. Consider the impact of government spending on private sector activity and efficiency. 7. Understand the impact of taxes. Be aware of the economic costs of taxes, including their impact on incentives and behavior. Support tax policies that encourage work, saving, and investment. 8. Support free trade. Advocate for free trade policies that benefit consumers and the economy as a whole. Recognize that protectionist policies often harm more than they help. 9. Focus on value creation. Prioritize creating value over simply creating jobs. Support policies and practices that increase productivity and economic growth. 10. Advocate for sound money. Support policies that maintain the value of money over time. Be wary of inflationary policies that erode savings and harm the economy. Criticisms and controversies. While Economics in One Lesson has been widely praised for its clarity and insight, it's not without its critics. Some argue that Hazlitt's free market perspective oversimplifies complex economic issues and ignores the potential benefits of government intervention in certain cases. Others criticize the book for being too focused on individual responsibility and not enough on systemic issues. However, the book's strength lies in its ability to provide a clear, foundational understanding of economic principles. Even if you don't agree with all of Hazlitt's conclusions, the book offers valuable tools for thinking critically about economic issues. Conclusion: Economics in One Lesson is a must-read for anyone who wants to understand the basics of economics and avoid common economic fallacies. Henry Hazlitt's clear, concise explanations and real-world examples make complex economic concepts accessible to everyone. Whether you're a student, a business owner, or just someone who wants to make sense of the world, this book offers valuable insights and strategies for thinking critically about economic issues. If you found this summary helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more book summaries and personal finance tips. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway from Economics in One Lesson is, or if there's another book you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.